Hello, welcome back to Summerwood. I'm Nina, here behind the camera, and David and Mercy are working on some Liberty. This is session 3, and we don't really make any plans for these sessions at all. I know they say fail to plan, plan to fail, but often with horses, it's better to have a loose idea of what you want to do, not get hung up on a bunch of expectations, and sort of see organically what the horse might want to work on and what the day might bring you. Now, for some of you, that's going to sound really like, what? How can I build anything on that? That doesn't sound like it's very structured. That's one thing long ago, not long, unfortunately, not long enough ago, that I learned is to be a little bit more loose and a little bit more flexible with my plans, and I have found so much more success that way. Not being hung up on, oh, today I've got to teach the horse to do the bridge. And you know, the bridge is very close to the street down there. What if there was a tree trimmer down there hacking up sadly a tree, making all kinds of terrible noises? It wouldn't work for me. And then here I am hung up on this idea about the bridge, and then I'm going to feel like a failure, and then I'm going to unfortunately make the horse feel like it failed. So it's better sometimes just to come down with a few ideas in your mind of what you want to work on, and then see again what the environment is conducive to, what the horse is interested in, what you sort of feel like you maybe want to try. Of course, you know, you have to start somewhere, so you're going to start on the idea with the idea that you have in your head. But if that doesn't work, I always would love to encourage you to have a backup plan. So in a moment, we're going to talk to David and see what it is that he had in his mind that he wanted to work on with Mercy today. And we're going to talk a little bit again about making your arena environmentally friendly. So we've got a bunch of junk in here right now. Well, it's not really junk. These are all of our fun toys. But there's a lot in here right now. People have been working on different things, and nobody's been putting anything away, and everything's sort of accumulated. There's a lot of distractions that way, I think. So I'm going to mention to David right now that I think that he should maybe put some of the stuff together that he's not going to work on. David? Yes. I would love for you to gather up some of the stuff that you're not going to be working with today, like the mounting block, and anything else that you're not going to be working on. I would suggest to gather it up and make the workspace a little bit less distracting for her. Okay? It kind of makes me happy that she went over to the mounting block. That might reflect some feelings that she has about riding. One thing that we are not going to do, we're not going to put our streamers up because it's been a little bit windy, and we'd hate for that to fall down at just the wrong point in time. If you have an element like that, may I suggest sandbags? We're going to make some for our streamers, and they might have a little better chance to stand up in a storm. Okay, so David is clearing his environment, and again, it's something that I highly, highly recommend, so the horse can focus with you on what it is that you guys are going to do and not anticipate that maybe it's another thing that they're going to do. Sort of out of sight, out of mind, and also too, it leaves it like a big neon sign lighting up and saying, well, this is the only thing that we have up right now, so we're probably working on that. So David has decided to work on the cones. I'm not even going to talk to him about it. I can clearly see that that's what he wants to do. The fun and interesting and cool thing about the cones is you're going to use two separate concepts. The idea of drawing the horse to you, which is what he's doing right now, and then the idea of sending the horse away from you, which is what he's doing right now. And then asking her on her own if she will circle around him. So there's 3 ideas going on here. So it's kind of an advanced project to work on the cones. But how would you start it if you wanted to start working on the cones? What would you do? Well, the first thing that you would want to do is make sure that you can move the horse like we just said, away from you and draw the horse towards you. So you could just start with one cone to help you out, or maybe not even anything if you feel more comfortable just doing it, on your own to see if you can move the horse away from you and draw the horse to you. How are you going to do this? I can hear you asking right now, well, how am I going to do this? Reward is very important. If you need to, you can use a little bit of a lure to get started, and then you turn the luring into rewarding. So at first the horse needs to see that it's going to get that reward. But after the horse begins to trust you that you're always going to give it a reward for a good effort and a job well done, and the horse starts to believe you, if you're consistent, which is so important, if you're consistent and you're always coming through with your reward, the horse is going to start to believe you. You're going to be a trusted partner, and they're going to let you have that leeway that they know, hey, I can do it first and I'll get something after. And then you can even start to stack a few tasks on top of each other. Like, again, going all the way through a series of cones and then rewarding at the end, or going through twice and then rewarding at the end. But the horse has to trust you with that first. And so the most important thing is to be consistent with your treats. How many you're giving, always be generous.
Wow.
If more, make that head straight. You got excited, David, and you forgot to ask her to keep her head straight. You've got to always be careful what you're training.
So, what do you want me to do next? I want to do the pedestal, but
I think that what I would like to do for anybody watching today is show them how we might start to work on the cones. So what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you just to use 2 cones.
Okay.
Okay? So stack 2 of them. Use these ones over here on the right side so we can see you clearly, and stack the other 2.
Okay.
Now, one other thing I want to stress to you is there's no right or wrong way to do this. We hope to give you a template, and just by watching David work with Mercy, or if you watch me work with Travi, just watching it, you're picking up stuff. But other than that, we want you to see there's the right way is the way that works for you. There's just a few things that, let's just say a few ground rules. Reward is really important. If for some reason you are reluctant to give a food reward and you're doing scratches or just praising, again, it'll work, it's going to work, but it's going to be a little slower. Food reward makes things go very nice and swiftly. And also, too, the scratches, you have to take a little bit more time. You have to go to the place that your horse likes to have the scratches. It will be a little bit more, it won't flow as easily as it is giving the food reward. So you're going to be walking around with your horse. So David, I just want you to start just walking with her. Just in the square. And then when you get to the cone, I want you to be on one side and she's going to be on the other.
So I'll be on this side?
Yes. Okay. If you're walking to the left, yes. Okay, so just start walking with her, and when you get back to the cones, so here's another thing. I know a lot of you will feel like, oh, my horse wanders away, I lose my horse's attention, my horse loses focus, and I'm going to say it again, as I've said it the last 2 times in the first 2 sessions. Yep, that's a horse. Horses can hear things, see things that we don't notice, that we can't see or hear. And there's stuff going on, and sometimes they just have to be a horse. And some horses are more prone to be horses, and others are more able to block things out and focus on you. And I always say it's kind of like a muscle, that the more you work with your horse, the more able it is to focus just on you and not so much on the environment. Okay, so now David is walking, just walking. But now, all of a sudden, Mercy's on one side of the cone and David's on the other. So that's a great way to start weaving. It's like, okay, well, that's our first weave. Now, draw her to you, but keep walking a straight line and just halt by the second cone.
Okay. Do I want her to come on this side?
Yeah, you're going to draw her to you and you're going to have her halt by the second cone. sometimes it doesn't work great with even number cones. You want to have an odd number. Good. And ho. Nope, didn't get the ho. It's fine. She's got her own ideas today. That's fine. Good. See if you can get her to come back around with you, David.
Good girl. Good girl.
I mean, of course she has her own ideas. Whose ideas would she have? Okay, so he's starting the first one again. Good. And praise that. Great. Now we're going to break it into a smaller piece, David. Just meet her in the middle. Have her come towards you and stop again in the middle. And then walk on with her as soon as you can. Good. Now walk right back on to start again. Perfect.
Now go around.
Come all the way back around.
Over.
All the way back around again.
Coming a little wide turn so she refreshes her brain.
Good. And ho. Good. Mercy's on one side, David's on the other. Good. And out of the obstacle she comes. Good. Good. And bring her all the way out. Good. Bye. It's gonna happen.
Oh, you're so good. Oh, there, she found a little piece.
There was a little rogue treat.
Good girl. Good, Mercy. Very smart.
Good, and this time just walk right out with her.
All the way? All the way or stop in the middle?
Walk out and come back around again.
Say it again.
Walk out and just keep coming back to that place.
Okay.
I want to remind you, David just started doing Liberty in the last 8 months. This is all super new to him, and the interesting thing is he's never been around horses before. So this is these are his first experiences with horses. Good. Now leave her there for a moment and go put the third cone up. We'll see about that. It's not ideal. It's right behind that rough road sign. Can you maybe move the cones down a little bit to this way?
That way?
This way.
Oh. Oh, good girl. You're so tight.
Okay, I think you can see that a little bit better. Okay, so now put part 1 on again. And have her halting by the second cone to see if you can push her away from you to the third one.
Okay.
So basically you want to slice it down to really small steps, baby steps. So here we have that first part. That's great. So now keep by her shoulder so she doesn't go out on you. And there he goes. Good. Good, David.
Good girl.
Good. Good. Walk all the way back around and start again. So the most important thing to remember with something like the cones is don't think of it all as one thing. Think of it as many different separate little parts. Think of breaking it down into slow motion and like stop action. That you want to string it together like little beads of requests. Okay? David's going to bring her towards him and ho. Okay, he rewards. Good. Now David's going to send her away. He's going to point. He's going to use his body language. Don't get ahead. She'll go out. You always want to stay by the shoulder so you can direct with your body. That's okay. That's okay. You got through the second part. That's great. That's great. And this is going to happen to many people out there watching. The horse is like, okay, that's enough of this. That's good. I'm good with that. We'll see if she has one more in her. Good. And let's start it over from the beginning. Again, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. If your horse has never seen a cone before, you would definitely want to put a cone in the horse's play area and let it get used to the cone first. Good. Okay. Now he's going to do the next part. Good. Could you ask the horse to go all the way through? Yeah, if you have that level of experience and communication with the horse, absolutely, go for it. But if your horse is new to this and you're new to this, it's a great skill to teach yourself about cutting everything up into tiny little bite-sized pieces. Fun size. I think you have one more in her. I think there's one more in there.
And then we'll give her the jackpot.
She's looking for any little leftover tidbits that might have fallen out. That would be easier to reward herself with. Here we go.
Ready?
She was starting to speed up, so it was great that he put the halt in. Yeah, he's waiting for her. Good, David. Good, wait for her. Wait, there's no rush. We've got all the time in the world. So it's very important where he had his body right there, because she knew that she needed to go to the right. She knew she needed to move away from him.
Good girl. She really worked hard for that one. Should I do this for the jackpot?
If you want to,
yeah.
That's up to you. Whatever you guys think you want to do. So we always talk about the jackpot, and he could have just given her the jackpot for weaving the cones, but he's gonna let her have a little fun on the pedestal, and he's still sort of making the pedestal consistent with her. She's only been getting on the pedestal for a few weeks now, so any little bit of practice that she can have about her foot placement is good.
Oh. Okay, Murphy, let's go. I don't want her to fall down.
No, you need to get her on it. Yeah.
Try it again.
Just because she spent so long just kicking it, I think it's important to get her up.
There we
Excellent.
go.
Excellent.
There we go.
Very nice. Okay, so what did we learn today? I think the biggest takeaway from today should be baby steps and cutting everything up into tiny little bite-sized morsels. So think of what you want to do, and then in your mind, I want you to turn on the slow motion and the stop action and break that task up into a lot of small little pieces. I know it seems like, oh, really? That's how this is done? As I said, there's many ways to do it, but I think that when you're just starting out, it's the best way for a new horse or new rider is to do every little part of it. And then think about what skills the activity requires from you and your horse. So something like the cones requires, I'm using my energy and maybe my pointer to ask you to move away from me. And now, right away, I'm changing that. And now I'm using my energy and maybe even in the beginning allure to draw you to me. And that energy of moving away and drawing to is going to come back in so many different types of activities that you're going to do. It's really important. Just as important as stopping and starting is go away and come back. So I hope that you have enjoyed watching David and Mercy today. And again, we're not really planning these. We're just sort of organically coming down here and seeing what happens. So hopefully that works for whoever's watching, and you're getting something out of it and enjoying watching just one man's process and one mare's process. Again, you can be creative as long as I think you follow the basic ideas of consistent and generous reward, a clear workspace to begin with, as clear as you can, finding good times of the day that are quiet to work with your horse so there's not a lot of distraction, and consider wearing a helmet, consider the proper footwear, and most of all, have fun and let compassion be your compass.